Hey guys, good to be here. Commissioner actually reminded me when he saw Knox, I went up and said hi to Knox. You know that Knox needs to earn his scholarship because the commissioner's fine last year. I think I tweeted that Knox's college fund is gone thanks to the fine there. So it was good to see Commissioner, and it's good to be here. I guess it was 12 years ago. I barely remember it. Lots happened since then. And, 12 years from being here and seeing everybody. And this has been a long year. Last year ended well. We're excited the momentum that we built, and we feel it in the fan base. We feel it with our players. It's been good to have recruiting back open, so that kids can come be around us, and I think we've created some momentum there. So we got a lot of challenges. First off, defensively, improving from last year. I do think signing a lot of kids in the offseason that were mid-years and really having our first spring. I think if you look around the country, first-year staffs really struggled, especially on defense. And so we'll look to improve there. We've got a lot of good players coming back on offense, led by the quarterback. So challenged to get him to play. I think he played as well as anybody in the country at times last year. In the notes coming in, reading them, I guess he was first in the country in total offense per game last year, which I didn't even realize. So it shows the level he can play at. Now he's got to do it more consistent. And I saw in those stats too, we were first in the conference in rushing a year ago, so we need to continue to build off of that regardless of the quarterback. Even though I know a lot of times people think we just throw the ball wherever we've been, we're at our best when we run the ball, and I think have done that really well at times. So with that, questions?
Thank you, Coach. If you have a question, raise your hand. Please give your name and affiliation. We will get a microphone to you. All right, we're going to start over here on the left-hand side. Parrish right here on the end of the aisle.
Parrish Alford, Daily Journal in Tupelo. Lane, you mentioned that Matt played as well as anybody in the country at times. How do you and Jeff help him become more consistent?
Well, good to see you, Parrish. I think that, again, having a spring finally with him, he's never had a second year of a system. I think has been good for him. I think that, we were still trying to figure out ourselves too without having a spring, not just him, but our offense. We didn't know if he was going to be the starting quarterback, when we went into camp. So Anna was the first year of working with Coach Levy. And, so putting that all together is a challenge. And I think, where we've been a lot of times, we've seen sometimes as the year go that help our players in our first year. So he's done a great job from a leadership standpoint. He's a very confident kid. And so we got to get him to play more consistent. Because like we said, he played great at times and he played really poorly at times. And I think a lot of people forget with that too, that it was his first year as a starter. So we know what to build off and we know what it should look like.
Coach, we'll go down here front left. Bob?
Hey, Lane. Bob Holt, Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Yeah, follow up on Matt. Obviously, that Arkansas game was very atypical. Looking back on it, what do you think happened to him? Why did he have all those interceptions, and how did he recover from that? Because a lot of guys, they have a game like that, maybe they lose all their confidence.
I think it says a lot about him that he was able to recover from that. I get asked all the time about, why didn't we pull him? And I've just always believed that you're really slow to do that because you get in the pulling the quarterbacks and back and forth and their confidence is lost, and it's not like another position. When you're the leader of it, you got to take the ball every single snap. If your confidence is rattled and, floating different guys in there. So I'm glad we stayed with him. He learned a lot from it. And, that's sometimes you got to have obstacles. I've referenced obstacles away. That's as good as it gets right there. Throw the ball to the other team 6 times. That's a pretty big obstacle. And so he learned a lot from that. And that was coming off an Alabama game 7 days before of playing extremely well. So it's a lesson for all of our players. You know, you got to go back to work and be humble.
Coach, we're going to go back here. It's bright light right over on the far right along the wall.
Blake Totmeyer, USA Today Network. Lane, another quarterback question for you. At this event 12 years ago, you brought your All-SEC ballot to prove you voted for Tim Tebow as preseason All-SEC quarterback. I was curious, who would be your pick this year for preseason All-SEC quarterback?
All right. I didn't even remember that 12 years ago, but now that you say that, because I believe there was something about someone didn't have Tebowed first team All-SEC, and as usual, I was accused of that. So I brought my ballot to show everyone, to show Urban. So what was the second part of the question? You got me all off there. Now we're back to Urban Meyer and Tebow and singing Rocky Top in the Swamp all night long. That part. Okay.
Who would be your vote
Who
for
would be the vote
this year?
I mean, I would say our own quarterback in Matt. Statistically played as well as anybody in the country, and I guess, and like I said in the stats, reading them in my notes from our SID, only four quarterbacks ever have led, SEC quarterbacks have led the country in yards per game. So to me, that just shows how good he can be if he's consistent.
Coach, we're going to go right here in the center.
Yeah, Lane, Tony Sakalis, Bama Insider. After last year's game against Alabama, how close do you feel like your team is to beating them, and what would that mean to be the first assistant to beat Nick Saban if it so happened?
Well, I don't look at it at all about being the first assistant or, you know, whatever that stat is. You know, we were close, played really well on one side of the ball, you know, but that doesn't matter now. I mean, the year before, I think we lost 66-3 or something like that. So every year is different. Every year has new challenges. I said at some interview on the way in here, the discussion was about Alabama and Coach Saban and, you know, the parity in college football. And I said he's done it different than anybody's ever done it and better than anybody's ever done it. And no disrespect to the coaches back before. There's not supposed to be parity, you know, with 85 scholarships and 25 a year. You know, my dad tells me the stories of coming in and having 75 freshmen, you know, in his class coming in. So, you know, to do what he's doing nowadays, and every year, you know, you guys say something that upsets him and gives him rat poison and makes him mad, and then we have to deal with that. So I don't know what the storyline is this year. It'd be something that you did about losing too many staff guys or the quarterback, whatever, but he just finds a way. And it starts with recruiting. You know, he just does such a phenomenal job of recruiting. And so when you got the best players, you know, and you got to go against them, that's enough challenge, let alone before you even get into how great he is as a coach.
Coach, we're going to go over here to our left.
Michael Katz, Daily Journal. You brought up Twitter. I'm just kind of curious, how did you kind of come to embrace social media, and do you genuinely enjoy the banter and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, Twitter was not a plan like a long time ago. It really started, I didn't know anything about it. It started a long time ago for recruiting, and then there was a time there where there was a rule which didn't make any sense that you could not text the kids or the parents, but you could direct message them on Twitter. So that's really how we had to learn to use Twitter, or we were going to fall behind, you know, even as an assistant coach at Alabama. So it just kind of took off from there. I do enjoy the fan part. I think it's comical, you know, when I jump on there and read things and how people react to things or the rumors that people write. And so it just gives people a platform to say and do whatever they want. And I guess sometimes I do that too. So allows me to kind of be a normal person on there. So I do enjoy it, just seeing it and seeing the interaction, especially in the SEC and the fans. And I'll point out something even to Knox, like on the plane or something, and say, okay, here's this tweet, okay, and it only has 20 retweets, you know, and it'll be something serious. And then here's something that isn't serious at all, but has to do with the SEC, and, you know, here's hundreds and hundreds of retweets. So there's a lot of passion here in this conference and the fan base, so I enjoy it.
Coach, we'll go over to the right side on the near aisle.
Hey, Lane, Adam with Kentucky Sports Radio. You talked last year about analytics and using the book when to go for it on fourth down. 7 is greater than 3. How much do you think that gives you an advantage over the competition? And as you progress in your career, are you leaning more into that?
Well, I know that sound like he just said 7's more greater than 3, and that's pretty basic, but that is a big part about analytics that for whatever reason for years as coaches, like that didn't hit us, because I think it was just the feeling of, I kick a field goal, or I attempt, it's not even I'm going to make it, I'm going to attempt a field goal. So then it's like, as a coach, I did everything I'm supposed to do, we got the ball close enough. And when you dive into the analytics, it obviously teaches you to play different. I think somebody said we were, most fourth down attempts or something in the country. I know at FAU one year we were. And that's not, I think some people used to do that, just gunslinger mentality. Like, I'm just going to go for it no matter what. That is not that. That is all calculated. It's not easy to follow. And I think that's why a lot of coaches struggle, because it goes against how you were trained to coach and how you're trained to make decisions, especially when you watch the NFL, which until as of late, everybody just kicked. And so it is hard to follow at times. I'd like to think that, we follow it really well, which is why we end up being so aggressive. And then remember the analytics, my book's not the same as your book and your book. It's different based off of our offense, our defense, and our kicker. So if your kicker's doing well, that changes. If your kicker, is struggling that season, that changes your book. Your book changes every week. And then there is something there's going to be some times where, to me, the book doesn't understand the feel of the game at that point. The book doesn't understand maybe it's 58%, you should go for 2 right here. But it doesn't understand the momentum and where the crowd's at with that and how hard you work to get back to that point, and so you may kick the extra point. And it doesn't understand exactly how you feel about your game plan either. You may feel really good in certain games in short yardage situations or goal line situations. And even though the stats say one way, you do different because of your feeling. But I do think not everybody, I do think a lot of people are catching up to it. So I don't, if you think it's an advantage like you referenced, I think it was. And I think people now, because it's more public and more people are doing it, are catching up with it.
Coach, we'll stay in the center section, about 5 rows back, straight ahead of us.
Coach, Theo DeRosa with the Commercial Dispatch in Columbus, Mississippi. You've got a couple of young players from our area in Eli Acker and Luke Altmaier. How do you feel like they're progressing so far?
Eli had a good spring, moved him around at guard and tackle. Very athletic player for us. Luke just getting there for the spring, which is hard at any position to come in as a mid-year player, but especially quarterback, and have to lead your group. I think did a really good job and has a bright future.
Okay, we're going to go over here to the left-hand side.
Jake Thompson with the Oxford Eagle, losing Jaquez to Kentucky. How has that kind of changed your approach to the defense entering fall camp? And I guess did that kind of put an emphasis on getting all those midseason enrollees and having that spring now under their belt?
Yeah, it's just the world we live in, that, free agency just happens. At least now there's somewhat of a calendar being put around it, but it's still, it happens. So we wish him the best of luck. Everybody has their reasons. And, fans, and I don't know if media does too, they all want to get mad at the kids, or assistant coaches. How can this kid leave? And then I look at assistant coach say, you're the same guy that's going to leave when you get a different deal somewhere else. So, I wish him the best of luck.
Coach, we'll go over here on the right section, 3 rows back.
Hi, Travis Brown at the Bryan College Station Eagle. When you look back on last season, what is some of the things that sticks out to you leading up to the postponement and cancellation of the A&M game? And then what are your thoughts on the program getting to play them in year 2?
I think the A&M game, I think initially was the other way. It was they didn't have enough numbers, I believe, the first time, I think, or something. And then the second time, obviously, was us. So, Jimbo's done a great job there. Elite coach, recruiter, and elite program. So, it'll be challenging whenever we play them. And we'll look forward to it.
We're going to go in the center section about halfway back, straight ahead of us.
Hello, Coach. How you doing today?
Great.
Gerard Hamilton, the Tuscaloosa News. This year you got a Week 4 matchup at Alabama. Last year, 111 combined points. Did you last year and do you this year have any tricks reserved in the bag offensively for Alabama?
Well, we use about all of them. That 111 points is a lot between the two teams. So, obviously, that was a big game. Coaches say every game's the same. When you have an elite program you're playing against that you play every year that's in your division, it just means more. So, we had a chance. They did a great job. Sark did a great job on offense. It's kind of exhausting afterwards, even as coaches, let alone being the players. So, that'll be a big challenge going there. And like I said before, I don't know that anyone's ever done it as well as coaches now doing it for an extended amount of time, especially with scholarships as they are. And kids just keep going there. So they do a great job, and keeps losing coaches and keeps replacing them.
Coach, we'll go in the center section, along the left-hand aisle.
Lane, John Sokoloff with WCBI TV in Columbus, Mississippi. How are you kind of expecting Dontario to take a step forward this year, and how big of a role is he going to play in your offense?
I think that, we can use him inside and outside, and made plays for us last year, very strong hands. Can play special teams. I think he'll be an elite special teams player at the next level. Unique ability to do that and strength. So, that's going to be a challenge for us with these receivers, who's playing where, move them around. We have Plumlee in the mix to figure out what we're doing with him exactly, and that could be a number of things.
Which we'll go here in the center section along the right-hand side here, about 3 rows back.
Lane, Mike Rodak with AL.com. Today, Nick Saban said that his quarterback has earned almost $1 million so far in NIL deals. How have you seen that play out with recruiting and the potential for other schools, brands to earn players some money?
Thank you. That number just blew me away, so you didn't prepare me for that. That's amazing. You made $1 million and hadn't started a game yet? I don't even know what to respond to that, but great for him. It is neat that players can make money now and profit, off of their hard work and what basically everybody else in America gets to do. So, I'm excited about it. I think it's very challenging trying to figure out how these things happen and what's legal and what's not and all that. So I was asked earlier about it. I said, I'm excited for it. I wouldn't want to be compliance departments, but $1 million. Ooh.
Coach, we'll stay in the center section right in front of us, midway back.
Elaine, Brooks Cabina from The Advocate. You're talking about point totals. The LSU game, 101 points. With the surge of successful offenses in the SEC, do you find that it's harder to find an advantage in a game, a leg up, and how do you approach that?
Well, I think part of that's analytics and just understanding how games are going. And again, when you follow it, and then if you have a team, like we were, where we were a lot better on offense and defense a year ago, you got to be really aggressive, and you're aggressive in your game plans. And, that's not just fourth downs, that may be fakes, tricks, and, taking more shots down the field, at times playing more aggressive on defense, knowing, hey, there's a good chance they're scoring, so let's actually play more aggressive, to try to create a turnover versus let them move down the field. So, it's not something you want to have. You obviously want to play really well on offense and play well on defense, that you don't have to think that way, and that's what we're working to do.
We'll stay in the center section along the aisle here, about halfway back.
Hey Lane, Matt St. Jean, WTVA in Tupelo. During the offseason, you accepted a challenge from Dabo Sweeney to play him in one-on-one. I was wondering if a date was set and what your strategy would be going against Dabo in one-on-one, ones and twos to 21.
I think our basketball coach said that. I don't know that I exactly accepted it. I don't know. I've seen video of Dabo. He does shoot the ball well, very quick. He did FaceTime me actually from Boca Grande a couple weeks ago because he heard I was coming down there when he was down there where he and Coach Saban stay. But he was golfing, not playing basketball with his son and the Raiders receiver. So we actually didn't talk about basketball. But I'm trying, man. I'm trying to lose some weight, so I got a chance against him.
All right, we'll go center section over on the right-hand side.
Coach, Drew DeArmond, WZZN Radio in Huntsville, Alabama. We could tell you were frustrated last year defensively with the lack of being able to get stops in the offseason. Now that you guys have had a spring, but take us kind of inside the staff room with you and DJ Durkin and Chris Partridge. What was the game plan to try to get better defensively so you guys can take a step up in the Western Division?
Well, I think we just, we struggled in all areas on defense last year. Now, on a good thing, we did play well in the bowl game, so, that's how we ended the year, and hopefully we take off from there. But it was just challenging, whether it was injuries or different guys, trying to learn a system and 3-4 and 4-3 and all things. But also, you're playing all SEC games, so you don't have any non-conference games. One helps statistically sometimes, but also to see early on in the year, how guys play and being able to play your backups, hopefully in a game like that. And we didn't have that. And then now you're playing SEC offenses every week, and it's also a year of some great offenses, really elite players. So it was very challenging.
Okay, we'll go center section, third row first. Go ahead.
Yeah, Coach Olin Buchanan with TexAgs.com. It's my understanding that Jerrion Ely has, I think, shoulder surgery. How's he coming back from that, and what's his status?
I'm still blown away on this Bryce Young. Like, you guys made $1 million already? That's good, man. He don't need to play next year against us then. It's mind-blowing. Well, Ely's fine. He's been working out with the team, and we're excited to have a fall with him where, now that we know more about him, having a season that we could maybe move him around and do some different things.
We have three in the queue. We'll start in the middle section, right in the middle. Stand up.
Nick Kelly with the Tuscaloosa News. Coach, you seem to enjoy tweeting about Coach Saban especially. Do you know if he's seen your tweets or what his reaction's been?
Well, he's certainly not on Twitter. We know that. Now, Linda, his assistant, is probably prints them out, especially the ones that he may not like. And so he probably does see those. But I think it's all in fun. I think you guys know that are around enough covering us, how much respect I have for him, how grateful I am, for him hiring me in the 3 years together with him and for what that did for my career. But the respect, and like I said, nobody's done it like he's doing it ever. And with the scholarships, it should be an asterisk compared to what was done before. No disrespect to other coaches.
We've got time for two more. We're going to start here on the right-hand side of the center aisle.
Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South. Lane, you said you're trying to lose some weight besides not maybe indulging in so much Mississippi food. I know you tweeted about that. What else have you done, and what have been the results so far?
Strange question to ask a guy, I feel like, but you're being negative about Mississippi food. I'm gonna be positive. It's a Mississippi diet. So I came to Mississippi, I embraced the food, and just not a lot of it, and have some portion control. So that's not really what the diet was, but I'm gonna be positive about the food in Mississippi.
All right, we'll go down here to Bob for the last question right here in the second row.
Yeah, well, if it's okay, I was going to ask a two-parter, if that's okay. Lane, if you could follow up talking about Matt, I mean, what are his real strengths? What are you expecting for the next step for him this season? And then is your dad going to be an analyst again? And if so, what does that add? And how's your dad doing?
Did you say Matt? Yeah. We expect Matt to play better, be more consistent, limit turnovers, take care of the ball better. My dad's doing well. Thanks for asking. He just had a press conference, I think last week, going into the Bucks Ring of Honor, which is an awesome thing. And just watching that press conference, seeing the old clips of him coaching at Tampa and how the players, Derek Brooks, Rondé Barber, Sapp, how they talk about him. It's just really neat. I texted him after that, just make sure that he knew how much I respect him and appreciate him and love him, and how unique that is. He changed people's lives, by how he coached them and how he cared about them. So it's awesome to have him around. He's, I think, 81, and he's still there, first one in the office every day. Pretty cool example for young coaches.
Coach Kiffin, thank you for your time today.
All right, guys, thank you.
Alabama has a record number of open jobs. Find yours at your local career center.